Hey, what's going on, guys? Joe again from Grindhouse Grotto. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Tonight I'm going to be talking about the new Terminator 6 sequel. It's been in the news lately. There's been a lot of new updates about the movie, and for the most part, I've been trying to avoid, anything related to Terminator because I'm a huge fan and I don't want the film spoiled for me. And so I'm going to give some information that I recently found out, and I was kind of spoiled, to say the least. I feel like when you go into a movie, you want to go into the film knowing as very little as possible, so that way you get the most out of the film. And there's two reasons why I don't want to know what's going on. Number one is the fact that, if I looked at other movies that I've seen recently, first thing that comes to mind is Halloween, the Halloween 2018 sequel that came out last year. And, the whole year leading up to that, I was listening to news, watched a lot of people's trailer reactions, and was getting updates on the sequel. And I'm going to be honest with you, it kind of ruined the entire experience for me. So going into this movie, I want to be as clear-minded as possible and just kind of take the movie for what it's worth and see where it goes. And so what I'm going to do today is kind of talk about what we already know about the film, okay? I'm not going to go into any kind of spoiler alerts, just kind of overall, who's the characters, this new title that is recently released, which is really, really badass, and kind of give my overall thoughts of, where I'd like to see the series go with this new sequel. So Terminator 6 was announced a little bit over a year ago, and I got super excited because I love the Terminator series. If you watch my videos, then you already know I've reviewed all the movies before. I've got a retrospective series, so go ahead and check that out. I'll put the link in the description. I love the Terminator franchise, and I was kind of disappointed with the last couple films. Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis. I just thought that they took the franchise a little bit too far. Terminator Genesis was just a huge disappointment for me. So when they announced that they were going to make a new film, and James Cameron was coming back on board to not be the director but be the producer of the film, I was thrilled because we haven't had James Cameron on board since Terminator 2, and then he did T2-3D, which was like a little theme park adaptation. But having James Cameron back on board to direct the sequel or to produce it is just amazing, because I think he knows where this franchise needs to go, what needs to happen to get this thing back on track. So when I heard that news, I was super pumped. I didn't want to go on and start following a lot of different groups because, like I said, I don't want to be spoiled, but I'm anxiously awaiting for this trailer. That is about the extent of what I'm going to do as far as following this film. I'm going to be watching the trailer. I'm going to be doing a trailer reaction for you all. And I'm going to continue to talk about the Terminator films and, different things regarding the different movies. And, going to be doing my retro videos. I'm going to be talking about all the different releases on the different formats that I've got. So stay tuned for those videos. But yeah, I was thrilled when I heard that the movie was being released. I found out a little bit of information about it. Some of it's spoilery, which was not intended. I just was on YouTube watching videos, and I stumbled across some stuff, and it was supposed to be spoiler-free, and it wasn't, so I learned a little bit more than I wanted to, but that's fine, because I feel like it wasn't enough to really, seal the deal for me. I still don't know very much about the film. And I just want to give credit to, the production company and James Cameron and everybody involved, Tim Miller, because they've really kept this film under wraps. I mean, they are keeping this as close to secret as possible. There hasn't been that many leaks, okay, which is awesome. That means that they really care about this film, and they don't want all these spoilers being out there. They don't want to ruin the film. They want fans to go in there as blind as possible, and I respect the hell out of that. That's what should happen, okay? So what we know so far is we've got some returning cast members. Of course, we got Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's back in the Terminator role, or at least we believe he's in the Terminator role. They ended up getting Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor. That is phenomenal, okay? So, some of you may not know this, but Linda Hamilton and James Cameron were once married. They are now long divorced. They divorced in the 90s. They haven't been married for a long time, but she basically refused to work on any films with James Cameron for a long time because of the fact that they were married and divorced. So to get her on board was a huge feat. You know, obviously they're working together now. It's not James Cameron directing the film, so he's got a little bit less input than he did in the previous films. But nonetheless, having Linda Hamilton back is just phenomenal. I feel like we can have a true sequel to Terminator 1 and 2, and I'm really excited to see what happens. We don't have yet. There's been nothing confirmed yet about John Connor's character returning or somebody reprising the role as John Connor. I've seen some things about, you know, some younger kid who's going to be portraying a younger version of John Connor in this future film, and I will get into that, and I will talk about, you know, I'll give a spoiler alert because there is a little bit of spoiler in this. It's not much, but it was what I kind of learned, and it's unfortunate, but if you don't want to watch the rest of this video when I get to the spoiler part, then you can just tune off the video, and I apologize. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but if you're interested in hearing what I have to say, then you can continue. So we don't have a confirmed John Connor yet in this film. We've got Gabriel Luna, who plays a bad Terminator. So I've seen several of his films. I think he's a pretty good actor. I'm curious to see kind of what he brings to this new Terminator and what they're going to do as far as, you know, upgrading his Terminator from the T-1000 and the T-1X. This is, you know, T3 is not going to be canon, so it's not going to be an evolution of a TX. It's going to be some kind of evolution from a T-1000. Something more significant than what we saw with Robert Patrick's T-1000. So I'm interested to see that. Is it going to be some kind of Terminator hybrid? Or is it going to be, you know, kind of like a nanotechnology? Something along the lines of that from Genesis. I don't think they're going to use any of the elements from the past films, but it'll be interesting to see, you know, what they're going to do. We also got this Grace character who's, I can't remember the actor who plays her, but, you know, she's a really tall, skinny female character who plays, I want to say presumably is going to play a Resistance character, you know, somebody sent from the future to protect, or, you know, protect Sarah Connor or protect some of our characters. It's pretty interesting because in the photos we've seen of her, she's got some, like, scars and stitching on her chest, and they're like in a design. So it looks like she's been operated on at one point in time. Whether that was the Resistance, maybe they captured her and they modified her in some way, or maybe she's some kind of Terminator hybrid. We just don't know yet. We'll have to see what happens with her. But in a lot of the behind the scenes photos with her and Linda Hamilton and some of these other actors, we see her with these scars, and she's always kind of like standing in front of them, like presenting that she's basically some kind of a guardian to these characters. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I'm excited to see what she brings to the table. And then we get to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I already kind of talked about him. He is credited on IMDb as being the Terminator. So that is interesting because we know from Genesis that Terminators age, and James Cameron said that he liked the concept of Terminators aging when he was kind of endorsed in Terminator Genesis before it flopped. Now he basically disowns the film. But he liked the idea. He thought that was a logical way to bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back as the Terminator. Okay? Now, that's kind of bizarre. How are they going to bring back Arnold Schwarzenegger as Terminator in this film? Because we saw how the events of Terminator 2 ended, and they supposedly stopped Judgment Day. And there's been some pictures that have been floating around the internet of Arnold Schwarzenegger, presumably as the Terminator. He's, you know, he's got this grizzled look. He's got, you know, a grizzled beard. It looks really good. I think the beard looks really well on him. He's got, you know, salt and pepper hair, so it's not completely brown, but it's got some gray undertones in there. He just looks like his Terminator 2 self, but with a beard and a little bit of gray hair. So it looks like a logical progression of an aged Terminator. Okay, they haven't said anything about him playing a human role. So all we can assume is that he's playing the Terminator because that's what he's listed as on IMDb. So this picture that's been floating around the internet shows Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator sitting down with Sarah Connor and Grace and a couple other characters, and there's a dog sitting right next to them. And this is not just a, you know, them just sitting around talking whatever while they're not filming. This is an actual behind the scenes, you know, photograph of them actually acting out a scene. So if that is in fact a Terminator, and Arnold's playing a Terminator, and there's a dog sitting right next to him, it leads me to believe that Arnold has been around for so long and has adapted to being, he has become so human that he's even being able to disguise himself amongst dogs, okay? We know in the films that canines are able to detect Terminators or infiltrators, and so for a dog to be sitting right next to Arnold's character leads me to believe that he's somehow modified himself or somehow been able to disguise himself that he can't be detected by dogs. Interesting little tidbit there. Now, I'm going to get into the spoilerish information that I received accidentally. I didn't want to know this, but spoiler, if you don't want to hear this, then you don't have to hear it. It'll be the only time I do any kind of spoiler on my channel, because I'm not the type of person, I don't want to know anything about the film other than just the basics. So this is a spoiler. It could be true, it could be a leak, I don't know. Rumors are floating around that basically what Arnold's character is going to be is basically in the events of T1, they sent back 2 Terminators, okay? 2 Terminators with 2 different objectives. We had the first Terminator from 1984 that came back to kill Sarah Connor, basically to retroactively prevent John Connor from existing, okay? That was that Terminator's objective. But when that happened, Skynet was smart and they actually sent back a second Terminator to basically, his objective was to kind of lie in wait and wait there and see if anything was going to happen, and if Judgment Day, for whatever reason, ended up getting delayed, or, they were able to somehow prevent Judgment Day from happening, then this Terminator would be there waiting to basically become activated, and we would see his Terminator at some point in time become active. So that's what they are saying is happening. So with that being said, they're going to have to do some kind of foreshadowing and with his character, but also they're going to have to do some flashback scenes of him, in these. They're going to have to somehow recreate some of the scenes from the first movie, but also they're going to have to incorporate him in Terminator 2 as well, because he existed, and if these spoilers are true, he existed in that timeline as well. And then there's also some rumors going around that Arnold, basically, the second Arnold, the second T-800, was activated right after the events of Terminator 2, when we saw that, Uncle Bob was lowered into the molten lava, and his character died, melted, and Sarah and John basically ride off into the night, and we get this narration from Sarah basically saying that they're entering uncharted territory or whatever. What these leaks are saying is this film is going to kind of somehow pick up through flashbacks right at the end of Terminator 2, and they are basically going to come under attack. They're going to be blindsided by this Terminator that they had no idea existed. They're going to be blindsided, and John Connor is going to die. That is going to be the big reveal in this movie, is that John Connor no longer exists. He is dead. So it's up to Sarah Connor Chronicles. Awesome TV series, by the way. It's up to Sarah Connor to basically, now she is the only person that knows of the existence of the impending Judgment Day, and she survives the Terminator attack after John Connor is killed, and she is now tasked with basically forming the Resistance. And so what we are going to see in this film is the Resistance being formed by Sarah Connor. We've heard a lot of news about a lot of filming being done down in Mexico. And, Sarah Connor is looking badass as all hell. She's got all this tactical gear on her and stuff. I think it's pretty possible to say that maybe they wrote out John Connor's character. Maybe he died after T2, and that's why we don't have him casted at all. We do have a stand-in child who's going to be playing, young John Connor in flashback scenes. That's what we think, because he's been casted. We got Brett Azar, who's playing the body double of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's done it in Genesis and other films, so he's back. So he's going to be playing probably a younger younger Arnold Schwarzenegger in flashback scenes of T1 and T2. So that's what has been going around, guys, and I don't know how I feel about that. I just think it's going to be really tough for them to kind of explain how the second Terminator has been in this timeline for two movies without anybody noticing. Now, they could do some clever stuff here, okay? They really could. I think it could be done, but I think it will kind of take away from the first two films. Yeah, this could all just be bogus rumors going around. It could be completely different. I mean, it's pretty hard at this point to really know exactly what they are doing with this film. But that's just one thing that has been floating around the internet that people are saying, and I think it's kind of fascinating. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I want to know, but at the same time, I don't. You know what I mean? It's like that you know, that fruit that you just can't eat. You know, the Garden Eden, you can't touch the fruit, and that's kind of how I've treated this new film. Is I'm just trying to stay away from it because I want to be blown away at the movie theater, and I hope this is going to be living up to my expectations. Like you know, when I went into Genesis, I was thinking it was going to be a phenomenal film, and it never lived up to the hype that I had inside of me. So I hope this film delivers what we've all been waiting for with the Terminator franchise. I'm super pumped. All right, guys, that's all I got for updates on Terminator 6: Dark Fate. That is its new title. I dig the hell out of it. I can't wait for this film to come out. It comes out later this year, I believe. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see the first trailer. I'm going to be doing the trailer reaction for you all. So stay tuned for that. Hit me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And as always, please subscribe to my channel. All support is greatly appreciated. Alright guys, stay tuned for more updates. Until next time, take it easy.